Hogstye.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the pregame show. It's Dallas week, and normally we'd be excited, but our team is 1-5, and Dallas ain't that much better, and they lost their star quarterback, so get ready for an ugly, messy, sloppy, disgusting, gross game that you'll only watch because your daddy and you watched it as a kid.
Well, that and, it used to be the fascination was Cowboys versus Redskins, and of course that's gone, and, we're the whatever the heck we are now. So,
well, that's a topic we could get into because there was some news about that.
Okay, let me first of all, do
your news first. You have news too.
Wait, got two things. I do keep up with the trademark searches every once in a while because my buddy Mark Tyler will DM me and say, "Have you looked?" And every time he does, I'll go check it out. And the entity that owns the Washington football team franchise has not filed any new marks except for Washington football team related marks. So this means, and I've told you guys before, it takes a year-ish to do. And so the reason why we're hearing stories now about the name may not change is they're getting to the point once again where it's going to be kind of tough to get a design done, approved, trademarked, and run through all the the sponsors, the Nikes and Adidas of the world and everything. They're getting already down to the wire with it. So that's why we're starting to hear from Jason Wright that it may have to go on another year because they would have had to probably already start the trademark process and get Nike rolling on it and everything by now.
Right.
News. So, yeah. So
yes, you had actual news you wanted to discuss.
Yeah. So an update on the Sean Taylor movie. I do have one. It is being still worked on. Despite the COVID-19 stuff, I am told that a polished version of the script is done, and they are now ready to start the real fundraising, which was not the crowdfunding stuff we were talking about 6 months ago.
Right.
All that was sort of like the trigger on the nuclear bomb. The real funding is Hollywood stuff, and they're getting ready to start doing that. So it's still rolling. The script is in great shape now, and the intent is still to produce a movie, a real Hollywood movie about the life of Sean Taylor. So there you go.
Cool. I think that's good news. I'm glad to hear the script's in good shape and polished and what have you.
I was told I could spread that word, so
that's awesome. I know I gave money to the initial funding. I whatever the amount was they wanted, so you could be in the movie. I gave that. So.
I thought about it, and I ended up not doing it because I was like, I live in Texas.
Yeah,
I'd have to fly to D.C. or Florida, one of the two, and
or drive. That's a long drive, though.
Yeah, and it's a long way to get a 30-second cameo in a movie that nobody's ever going to see you in anyway, probably.
Right. Well, I think I'm probably one of only 10 people, so maybe it's a premium extra role.
Well, I thought at least the press we gave this movie have given this movie on our website and on the show is at least worth $100.
Sure. in trade, that's what we're doing. Yeah, but let's get back to the name topic because that was it came out of left field that Wright said that they'll probably be keeping the no-name team for another year, and it sounds like Dan Snyder and him are very okay with staying that way. I was listening to, and I'm going to plug, I believe it was Scott Jackson's podcast. He had Chris Cooley on. Cooley has a theory that Snyder doesn't want to change the name because if he sells the team, it's worth more without a name at this point, which is an interesting theory.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I know, Steve, you like your IJB. Put your business hat on. It might be, and you can kind of ponder that one sometime.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get the theory. It might increase the value a little bit, I guess.
Right.
But on the other hand, there's something to be said for a team with an established goodwill, an established and valuable marketing and branding already set up. If you ask me, I don't think these owners care a whole heck of a lot. Most owners do not care a whole heck of a lot about what's actually going on the field
Right.
and the uniforms and the name or any of that. It's a business asset
Yeah.
first and
They
foremost. And
don't care about the legacy, the fan
no,
base, any of that stuff.
zero. I mean, a couple of them do, but for
Yeah.
the most part, they don't. I think Snyder probably cares more than most,
Sure.
just because of his personal history and all
Snyder,
that stuff. So
Jerry Jones did or does a lot, I
it's
think.
an interesting thought. I guess if you were going to, you could say, because they've gone down this unique road by dumping the Redskins name. Um, I guess it could be a selling point to say, hey, look, you can name your own team. When are you ever going to get this opportunity, Mr. Fellow Billionaire?
Right.
So it's an interesting thought. I mean, whether or not that makes them any more money, who knows? It might be make it slightly more marketable, though.
Yeah. And I think, there is some truth to what Cooley theorized there, which, I don't listen to enough of Cooley now that he's not, with the team and doing a million, radio spots.
Right.
He was always a smart guy to listen to. So
he's good.
Yeah.
He's good. I know the other rumor that we might as well talk about is, well, you kind of mentioned it. But there's been a rumor that this is just going to be the permanent name.
Right.
I can't tell you much. I hate that. Just for me, first of all, I'm not going to refer to the team as anything but. I'm never going to refer to the team for a new name. I'm just telling you guys that right now.
Sure.
It's always going to be the Redskins, or the team formerly known as the Redskins, or just Washington, because I can't mentally get to the point where I'm going to use another nickname. That's just me. And there's a handful of people out there like me. But one thing I really freaking hate is the Washington football team makes me want to claw my eyes out.
Right.
And this WFT thing is just the worst thing in the history of acronyms. It's terrible.
And I've moved on pretty easily from the whole Redskins thing, but I'm with you. Like, Washington football team, just not – it doesn't
terrible.
roll off the tongue. It doesn't have any kind of, like, oomph to it. Because people compare it to, well, if you're, in the UK, sports – teams generally are just named after their cities. But
that's soccer, yeah.
Yeah.
But so what?
Yeah,
We're not
and guess what? Go look at all those little logos and stuff they have for their teams. They'll have like city flags and like little icons. Like there's one team I know theirs is like a red fox, and they're just named after whatever city they are. But they have a logo that's an animal, and like so you still have something there.
Like what are the big teams over there, like Manchester and Liverpool?
United,
do they have
Liverpool, Arsenal? Yeah.
Okay, so they have names.
Yeah, but those are
I know there are some of them that are like the whatever football club.
Right.
Well,
and those are all football clubs, Steve.
I know that, but some of them don't have. I understand that. What I'm saying is, those two teams have names, United and Arsenal. Some of them do not have names. Some of them are just the blank football club, period.
Right.
That's what I'm saying,
right.
And that's what we are, and I don't want any association with soccer at all.
No, I'm not a fan of that concept very much. It just, also, Washington football team does not roll off the tongue.
Oh, there's too many syllables.
Right.
Yeah, it's not good. And the WFT thing makes no sense at all. I can't tell you how much I despise that. I despise that a lot worse than just saying the whole Washington football club thing or football team thing.
Yeah. And I would just say Washington.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I generally do too. It's and
I make a big point in all my written pieces to make fun of the thing in almost every single one of them.
Yeah, I know. But
I think I'm the only one that cares. But
well, I don't think you're the only one who cares. You're the only one who cares enough to write that.
Probably, yeah.
But I will say I do kind of agree with them. Just kind of keep the uniforms as is. That's fine. Like the number on the side of the helmet, I don't love it, but it still looks like the old team when you're watching them.
It looks like USC too much.
I can see that. But
I'm not big on appearances and all that stuff.
Right.
I mainly just want things to stay the same. And so I like the fact that they've kept the burgundy and gold. I didn't like the fact that it's basically they stole the USC uniform and changed the shade of the color a tiny bit. That's sort of what it is. And so I don't like that. I do think they need to have a logo.
Yeah,
I would prefer it to be the Indian head that we had, but that's gone and dead and gone now. But they need something that's not just a W. It's just terrible.
Yeah, and I don't even like the W they have. That it's also just a weird looking.
It looks like it's like Times New Roman W or something, like somebody typed it in Word on
It's
a
half
computer and turned it into a
italicized.
logo. Yeah, it's like you typed it into Microsoft Word and picked a font, and that was the logo.
I mean,
You
that's what
know.
I do when I make logos when I was creating Madden teams in like middle school. You know?
Only unfortunately, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right, not a middle schooler creating football teams in a video game.
I think honestly, Alex, you could do better
Oh,
knowing how good you are with Alex does all of our logos and all that. For those of you unaware, you could come up with something pretty cool, I think.
I've got like 5 that I've drawn up just being
Oh, you
bored.
have?
Yeah, yeah. For all the different names that they've had, I've just sat around, had a beer and just drawn up a couple logos that I like.
If it bothers me,
Yes,
I don't care about any of this stuff
it's bothering
particularly.
other people. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the last one it would bother.
Right.
You know.
Right. I've come up with some ones that I personally think look cool, but then you see what all these other fans are coming up with. They're nuts.
But for me, look, I'm gonna always wear my Redskins stuff.
Sure.
It's never gonna change. I'm not gonna buy any of the new stuff. I don't want it. No, if anybody of my family's listening, don't waste your money because I'll never wear it. I'm happy with my stuff now, and that's the end of it.
And I've told my family, once we have a new name, I probably will be okay with it, unless they change the team colors and they start going like camouflage uniforms and, ridiculous.
Well, see, Dan Snyder won't do that, but a new owner could.
Yeah, I know. That's my one fear with the new owner.
You gonna follow the San Antonio Valor?
No, I'm not going to follow the San Antonio Valor.
I didn't know the Arena League had risen out of the grave again.
No, it's another league, and some guys just bought all the old equipment, and they're too cheap to change the names on the mats.
Doesn't that logo have like the DC flag or
Yes.
something in it though?
And they also
And
bought
I
the
guess it doesn't
Baltimore
matter.
team, who has the Maryland flag on their sleeves, like as like a print.
But what league is this? If it's not the Arena League, what are they buying? Who's buying it?
It's something. It's like called the Texas Indoor League or something.
Well, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our old friend Ty and Seki was in that league for a
No,
while.
no. This is a new league. It's just
it's
starting
new?
up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ty played for AF2. I know where Ty and Seki played. Yeah.
So this league is nothing that anybody will ever see again. Okay.
Okay, we vamped long enough. We got to get into the stupid game.
Does anybody care?
No. I mean, the other guys have basically checked out. It's just you and me rambling.
I know. It's like, Jamal, where are you, man?
Yeah.
Rob, come on.
Well, we did think about doing this an hour later, so maybe they got thrown off.
Yeah, it's my fault. I thought I had something to do, and it fell through. And
That's all right.
So, yeah.
That's all right. We're starting to have things to do.
Mine was really dumb. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay. Fine. All right, so let's start with the Washington offense versus the Dallas defense.
Oh, God, do we have to? Let's get the pain out first. Look.
Yeah, I want to start bad and go good.
This offense might be the worst Washington offense I've ever seen. They're worse than last year. This is the worst rushing game in the league. They're last in rushing yards per attempt. They've risen up to 30th in third down conversions thanks to the Giants game. So that's good. They're 29th in points, and that's only because they scored in the 20s against the Eagles in week 1. This yards per play last, yards per game 31st. This offense is an abject disaster in almost every way. I don't think it has any redeeming qualities at all. The only redeeming quality is Terry McLaurin, which we say every week because there's nothing else to talk about.
Right.
Even this week, they have 3. Does everybody realize this? There are 3 healthy receivers.
Basically,
3.
yeah.
Not basically. There's Terry McLaurin, Cam Sims, and Dontrell Inman, period.
Right.
Now, there was a rumor, not a rumor, it was reported by Ben Standig and John Keim and others that Washington had signed somebody off the Packers. I think it was a Packers practice.
Yeah, Robertson or something.
As of Wednesday night when we're recording this, the team has not confirmed that and announced that. So I don't know if that's true. As a matter of fact, Ron Rivera made a point to mention the two practice squad guys, Bidet and Troy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure his name isn't pronounced bidet because that's a bathroom product. But
yes. Have you ever used a bidet, Steve? You've traveled the world.
I have, and I've refused because I'm not a girl. So no, I have not used a bidet. I have seen him and been around him though.
Yes.
But so Rivera mentioned Jeff, I guess is bidet. I don't know what else to call him. Jeff Bidet. I'm gonna have to look the pronunciation guide up here in a minute. And the other one is
Brown.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. And he said, hey, they came on a little bit in the beginning, toward the end of training camp and blah blah blah. That's where we got into with the receiver group. And mind you, the guys who are hurt are no great shakes either. So this
Right.
receiver group is just the worst receiver group in football by far,
Oh,
I think.
easily, easily. I mean, could you imagine how bad it would look if we didn't have Terry McLaurin in
Holy
there?
moly. Yeah, that's
It
just
would be a nightmare. We would have
now.
to just do like a 1920s lineup and just run every down situation.
Now here's the thing. Since this is Redskins or Washington versus Dallas defense, the Dallas defense truly does suck donkey balls.
Yes,
They
there is
really are
that
bad.
redeeming factor for this game.
Yeah, what this game is the movable force versus the resistible object, or no, the movable object versus the resistible force, because we have one of the worst offenses in football. Dallas has one of the worst defenses, but this is what I want to get your opinion on. They are much worse against the run than they are the pass.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving up over 5 yards in a rushing attempt. Now our running game is the worst in the league, so that might not help us.
And it's not even close.
No, it's not close. But they're a little bit better in the pass. They're not great, their quarterback rating average 106. Their completion percentage is pretty low, 61. So they're a little bit better. They're not great, but by comparison's sake, they're better. So the question is how to attack the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, it is a good question, and I looked at some of the Cards Cowboys, and here's the thing: they're able to run all over Dallas because they have a decent line and not great, just decent. But they have a quarterback who knows how to move, and they did a lot of RPO, so probably messes with Dallas's defensive lines.
Kyler actually had a pretty bad game last week. He only completed 9 passes.
Yeah, but my point is, we don't do any of that. And why we don't, I don't know. Like, if you have this more mobile quarterback,
that's the problem.
Yeah, but you could at least show those looks to throw people off. That's my point. Like, even if you're not going to get Kyler Murray yards, but if Kyle Allen can get 5 yards on a run pass read or a read option play, that's better than most of our runs.
This Jeff Bidet pronunciation thing has been bothering me. So the reason why Alex is looking at me stare at my phone, and the reason is I looked up the pronunciation guide that they put out, and he's not even in here. So
nice.
I still don't know.
Nice.
I give up. Sorry, Jeff. However you pronounce your name.
All right, we're just going to call you Jeffrey B.
There you go.
Yes.
So, I mean, the obvious thing with Dallas would be to run the ball, but we're just not capable of doing that.
No, we don't have a running back who can handle more than 10 carries.
No. No, we don't. And just to further talk about Dallas, I wanted to get into this in their offense, so I'll save part of this, but they only had 1 interception on the year. Their turnover ratio is atrocious. Sacks, they've only had 11 sacks. That's 20th. They're just now. The good thing is for them, Alden Smith is a talented pass rusher.
Right. They have some talented players still.
Yeah, they do. And what I noticed thank you NFL for putting us on your PR list this week. What I noticed out of the NFL's transaction list last night was that Randy Gregory has been activated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Randy Gregory is now off the commissioner's list and on to the active list. Whether or not he plays, don't know, but he's active now. Another pass rusher. It's I just don't know what to say. I just have no faith in the ability of this offense to do anything but dink and dunk the ball.
No. I don't think we have a quarterback who can do anything but that, and we don't have any receivers. I mean, like
literally no receivers.
Right. Now, I do hold out hope that maybe one of the 2 guys that went down might be able to show up, but I doubt it. They're not practicing all week.
No,
they're not good enough to go in without practice.
Injury report this week. The DNPs for Wednesday were Sadiq Charles, Ronald Darby, AGG, James Smith-Williams, Logan Thomas, and Isaiah Wright. The 2, AGG is a hamstring and Wright is a shoulder. And then Pierre Lewis was limited and Chase Young was limited for his groin.
What's Logan Thomas have? You said he's
neck.
Oh.
And the AGG is hamstring. Smith Williams is a concussion, so he's going to be out.
Uh,
Now, on the Dallas side, the interesting one is, since I'm talking about injuries, Zach Martin is in concussion protocol.
Yeah, I heard that, which,
Yeah.
shocker, Zach Martin's hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's tough to get out of concussion protocol in a week, so it's odds are he's probably not going to play.
So that helps, but we don't have a tight end right now that can take advantage of it, so,
No, we have Logan Thomas.
Right, who you just said is hurt.
Yeah. Now, Dallas, just to give you some more numbers, they're the worst team in the NFL in points surrendered. They've already given up 218 points.
Wow.
They've I think it was 5 straight weeks of 30 or more points by their defense, 410 yards per game, which amazingly isn't even last, which is incredible.
Yeah, we were talking about arena football earlier. Like, that's arena football level points given up.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, they're bad on third downs.
Yep.
Third down defense. They're 27th in the NFL in that. And again, Washington is terrible in it. So again, this is another weakness on weakness thing here is third down. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
It's going to be really ugly. It's a terrible offense versus a terrible defense.
And I don't know. It's going to be so like I was thinking about predictions. I have no idea what that's going to look like.
Well, here's about the quarterback. I mean, Kyle Allen did okay. I think if you go back and watch his film, he didn't do as well as we thought initially. There was some reads he missed.
Yeah,
Mark Bullock pointed him out. He wasn't all that great. I don't think he's the next coming of Joe Montana by any means. I think he's probably slightly more competent than Dwayne Haskins was at this point. And I don't really want to get into another Haskins rant because it's over. But
right.
I think he brings a little bit more, but I don't think he brings a ton more.
Yeah. I'm with. I think he's just there. He's in the John Beckett, Rex Grossman situation. We just need to play a season with these guys and tank, and maybe we'll get a good pick out of it.
I think he's more Beck than Grossman in terms of personality and whatnot.
I do too. But
at least Sexy Rexy would toss him down the field with abandon sometimes.
Right.
At least it was
I'm
entertaining.
talking more just that's the quality.
Yeah.
They're all like C-level quarterbacks at best. So
yeah,
and probably not that.
We're definitely in the tank for Trevor discussion.
We are. Yet I don't know if we'll get there, and I doubt we'll get there. But
the thing is, we don't have to tank.
No,
I don't like the tanking thing intentionally, like they do in basketball, especially.
Sure,
I just don't like that mentality, and I don't like it when the NFL. Didn't Miami do that last year? It was tank for.
Tank for Tua.
Tua.
Yeah.
I just don't like that mentality. But this year, Washington doesn't have to tank. They're just terrible.
Right.
They're
not even trying.
Involved. No.
Yeah.
They are trying to win, and they can't.
Right. I'm sorry. They're not trying to tank, is what I meant.
Yeah.
All right. Let's switch sides. Talk about Dallas's offense versus Washington's defense here. Yeah, I thought that this offense was going to still kind of be okay with Andy Dalton. They did not look good last week.
No. Would you like to know the reason why Dallas has lost all these games? There's one overriding reason.
All right.
You know what it is?
Hit me with it.
Turnovers. These guys are negative -12, last in the NFL by a lot in turnovers. That's one of the worst turnover ratios in the history of the NFL. I wouldn't swear it's the worst, because I'm going off top of my head here.
We're only mid-season, but
it's historically bad. Now, what I did is I went through every game because I'm just nerdy like this, and what I saw was that almost every turnover they've had has resulted in points. So not only are they, it's a combination of interceptions. The Prescott and Dalton have thrown 6 interceptions.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott has had 5 turnovers on his own, 5 fumbles. It's a combination of terrible fumbling problems. Elliott is not having a good year, and then interceptions. But the Cardinals got 24 points off of turnovers last week against these guys. Go back the week before, and the week before, and the week before. All these teams are converting turnovers into points with reckless abandon. And so that is the key. If you want a way to win, if you're still rooting for Washington to win here, the way to win is to hope that these fumbles and interceptions continue. And we happen to have a ball hawk in the secondary in Kendall Fuller, but then they have to convert. and which is where the problem is. But that is the reason. That is the biggest reason by far that Dallas is losing is all these turnovers. And no, Andy Dalton's not Prescott. Prescott was having an MVP level year, but for the interceptions.
Right.
Andy Dalton is not that, but they still have one of the best wide receiver groups in football, and we have a lousy secondary. So it's turnovers. That is the reason. That's what we have to hope for if you're rooting for a win here.
Yeah, and I want to get to that secondary the wide receiver group versus the secondary, because that wide receiver group, it's just got so many guys with so much. You maybe only have one guy who's like an elite A1 talent, but the other guys are all what I would consider high quality number 2 receivers. And they're probably 4 deep at, good wide receivers.
Well, I mean, you got Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup to start with. Right. All of them are better than everybody not named McLaurin.
Sure. And Cooper is, on the same level as McLaurin. At
not
least.
Better.
Yeah,
probably better right now.
Yes.
My Gallup is the slot guy. Is CeeDee Lamb, who is wearing 88, I believe. He's a big dude. He's 6'2", right. Almost 200 pounds. He's a traditional. They've really got 2 sort of traditional number 1 caliber, quality kind of receivers in Cooper and Lamb in terms of body type and whatnot. So they're a major problem. They get a ton of yards after catch. CeeDee Lamb in particular gets a ton of yards after the catch. And what is Washington bad at? Tackling. Right. This is a week when what they do not need to have. If there was ever a week when the secondary needs to get it together in terms of coverages and no mix-ups and then tackling, it's this week.
Right. Yeah, and I just, I look at that receiver group and I worry because Dalton doesn't have to be great. He just has to, play point guard and get the ball out to these guys. And it'll be hell for us. And
he's not terrible. I mean, he's a lot better than like the Kyle Allens of the world. He's getting up there. And
he's a lower half of the league quarterback still.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. I mean, he only had a quarter reckoning of 72.6 so far this year, but that's because he's thrown 2 turnovers and only 1 touchdown.
Right.
And why is that? Well, it's because Dallas is fumbling away every drive.
Yes.
It's just amazing how I've never seen a team fortunes turn this much on turnovers than Dallas in 2020. I'm telling you guys, that is the key to the game. Well, if they can't get turnovers, it's going to be a problem because this offense is deadly when they keep the ball. Deadly.
Yeah. Elliott had that really bad fumble last week.
Yeah. He had a couple fumbles last week.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of that really ugly one where he just kind of threw it to the defense.
Yeah. Now, again, I mean, Andy Dalton is nowhere near the level of Dak Prescott, but I think given the targets he has, and the weaknesses in the Redskins or Washington secondary, it could be ugly. And Dalton Schultz, the tight end, is no slouch either, by the way.
Yeah.
He's got 23 catches on the year himself, which is a lot.
I mean, I look at Andy Dalton's career, and I always thought he kind of got an unfair rap for what happened in Cincinnati. Because, he had a good receiver. They never built a competent team there.
No, because they're the Bengals.
Yeah. They're a little bit better than us in terms of that. That's about.
They're on their way to ruining Joe Burrow at some point.
Yeah,
it'll happen.
It'll happen.
I saw the Browns bench Baker Mayfield last week. I didn't see the game. I don't know if that's permanent, but he got benched at one point in time. Baker Mayfield's another guy that's being ruined by a horrible franchise.
Yeah. Well, I think Baker might be doing a little to himself too.
Baker wasn't nearly as good as everybody thought he was. I never did. But, when you go to the Browns, I'll tell you what, we're rambling here, but if I was Trevor Lawrence, I would seriously think about going back to Clemson.
I would too. I mean,
why would you want to go to the Jets under any circumstances? Unless he needs, I don't know his family situation at all. If he needs the money, fine. But if he doesn't need the money and can stick it out for a year, I would absolutely do it, personally.
I mean, it's Jets, Washington, or Jacksonville probably that he ends up with.
Realistically, yeah.
Do you want to go to any of those cities if you're a quarterback?
2 of those 3 are quarterback killers.
Right.
The Jets and Washington. Jaguars, I wouldn't call them an outright quarterback killer, but I mean, certainly the Jets are just atrocious at it, as is Washington.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to go to any of them if I were him.
I'm with you. I wouldn't blame him.
He's going to go to a bad team no matter what.
Right.
But the Jets in particular, the Jets and quarterbacks, and Washington and quarterbacks, just terrible track record.
Well, I have my My conspiracy theory, Steve, is somehow the NFL's going to end up with the Falcons getting the number 1 pick, and he'll want to go right there.
How do they pull that off, though?
The refs will find a way.
You think Rodgers going to be handing out hundreds?
Yeah, I think so. I think there'll be a little, hey, here's a briefcase I left. You can keep it.
I mean, Atlanta's 1-5. With a new coach, they could tank for Trevor too, I guess.
I mean,
but the real problem is that the Jets have got to win a game or two.
Sure.
And how are they going to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're clearly the worst in their conference. Or in their division.
They're clearly the worst in the NFL.
Yeah. They're a mess. Joe Flacco might luck into one good game.
Here's the Jets have got the Bills, the Chiefs, Patriots, Chargers. There's a winnable game.
Yeah.
Dolphins, Raiders, Seahawks, Rams, Browns, and Patriots. So I would say the Chargers and the Browns, probably winnable.
Yeah.
Certainly the Chiefs and the Patriots are losses. The Raiders lost, Seahawks lost, Rams lost.
All the rest are losses.
Bills probably lost. The Bills aren't as good as everybody thinks they are either.
Miami's looking pretty good, and they're switching to Tua now. So
I guess if you're a Washington fan that's hopes for Trevor, you got to be a Chargers and a Browns fan.
Yeah. You know what? I've always kind of liked the Browns, and they're one of those old school teams in a way, even though they're not.
If there's one team that has messed their franchise up worse than Washington, it's the Browns.
Yeah, I know. That's why I love the lovable losers of the league.
Well, their owner almost went to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, he got caught up in the Flying J truck stop, debacle, and narrowly avoided, being charged himself, and
Someday somebody will write a book on what all the terrible things all these owners do and get away with, and then the world will be better.
Yeah, well, probably not.
No.
What else can we talk about? Let's see, Dallas offense real fast. Did we go over it all? Listen, it's the turnovers. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out is, in years past they've been a running team.
Right.
If you haven't watched Dallas this year, understand that this is not a running team anymore.
Well, it's Mike McCarthy. He doesn't know how to use a running back, and all he wants to do is throw the ball deep.
Yeah, and that was working when they had Prescott.
Yes. Yeah.
Except for the turnovers. But Elliott's numbers this year are pedestrian. He's 101 attempts, which is a lot. 413 yards, 4.1 yards per attempt, long at 24. So he's not doing. He's better than what we have.
Sure.
But he's average, a little bit above average maybe. He's not an elite guy like he has been this year, and he's fumbled a ton. That's the thing. Elliott is responsible for a lot of these all by himself.
Yeah. You were saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about it before. How do you beat Dallas? We were talking about that on the other side of the ball, but on this side, a lot of people tell you, "Well, try and stop Elliott and make Dalton beat you." I think you go the other way. I think try and make Zeke Elliott beat you.
I agree with you.
Their passing game's a bigger threat overall. Worry about that, and make them try and get 200 yards on the ground to win or something.
And am I crazy, or is Andy Dalton not like a 10-year starter? This is not like some rookie where you go out there and go, let's make him beat you. Well, Andy Dalton was in multiple playoff games.
Right.
He was a starter for a long time.
He's played a few hundred games at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not a guy, if you let Andy Dalton beat you, he might beat you.
Right.
He could, especially with these receivers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I think you're right. I think with his pedestrian by his standards, Elliott has been. I think if you can focus on taking away the pass somehow, which is not realistically feasible for us.
No.
But that would be the game plan. I agree with you. I think you're right.
Yeah. All right, let's do predictions. Like I said before, I have no idea kind of what to predict for our offense versus this defense, man.
It's tough, man.
They're going to crush us on the other side. So, but at the same time, I can't realistically pick the Cowboys to beat the Redskins or Washington. It's an emotional thing. So I'm going to say somehow we win this 38-35.
You think Washington whatever's?
I don't actually think it. Points. I just can't work up the nerves to say we lose.
I have to go back and look. I can't remember. Do you ever pick Dallas over Washington?
I might
have. You ever done it?
It's been 5 years. I don't know.
What's weird about this game is that the betting line started out in the beginning of the week at 3.5 points.
Right.
It was down to 1 point Tuesday. I don't know what it is today. So Vegas, mainly because of all the turnovers and Andy Dalton, see it as a close game. I think Washington gets blown out again. I can't in good conscience pick Washington to ever do well this year unless they prove it to me, because there's just nothing redeeming about this team at all.
And my brain agrees with you, but I got to go with my heart and just say F Dallas.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to say, and I just have a weird feeling that this turnover thing at some point is going to turn around for Dallas. So I think I'm going to predict Dallas like another similar scores what we've had, like 30. I'm going to say 32-13. Don't hate me, everybody. I'm just being honest.
I know you're just being honest.
I'm trying.
All right. I think that should wrap up this week's show. Oh, let me just lastly say, Mike McCarthy, you look like you're about to die. Like, seriously, like, see a doctor, man. Like, he does not look healthy.
No, but, I mean, look at our coach.
Well, our coach is seeing a doctor.
That's true. McCarthy does look like he's about to keel over on the sideline.
Yeah.
You know, one thing we didn't talk about, speaking of McCarthy, is that there's all these like unsourced rumors coming out of Dallas now that the players think the coaches don't know what they're doing. It truly is a mess. Like, a good team could stomp on Dallas if they really wanted to, like the Cardinals did. But I'm just saying, Washington is
we're not a good team, and we have our own issues in the office right now.
Certainly, right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's not get it, because now we'll go for an hour if we do that.
We could ramble for an hour. You want to?
Nah, not for these people. These good people who have still been listening, they should get a break.
That's
so
true.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you after the game.